Hello, everyone. This is another Freedom to Feel conversation, and my guest today is Alessandra. She is the founder of Waves for Thriving. She holds a master's in sound therapy and certifications as a mind body eating coach, somatic trauma and healing, and Reiki practitioner, and Psych-K facilitator. Combining her knowledge of physics and wave frequencies with energy balance therapies, she bridges ancient healing techniques with modern science, which is really helpful for those who wanted to unpack like healing in a more holistic way. So this is my brief introduction to Alessandra. The full bio will be at the end. The question that I love asking everybody, Alessandra, when I meet them here, how would you introduce yourself? Who are you in your own words in this very moment? And also your background. How did you become this woman that you are today?
I can tell today I'm much more relaxed, aware, and at peace than I even was 1 year ago. So I'm living much more authentically, aligned with my inner truth and inner values. So I think for most of my life, I was creating from fear and try to micromanage everything, and you can imagine how stressful it is. So now I'm taking another approach. I'm really curious about being in partnership with my higher self, my essence, that wise part in me, and really asking for my next step. That's all I need to know. I'm not pretending to, So, and then as I ask, I'm trying to mastering the art of listening to my guidance, my inner guidance, my intuition. And I think, yeah, like it is really a surrender, and I trusting that everything that will unfold, it's for my highest good, it's for my expansion, it's for my growth, and also trust that I will be able to respond whatever arises, and I'll have the guidance to do, and how I think I want to live this second part of my life, and it feels much more relaxing and expansive.
When it comes to this concept of surrender, Alessandra, how do you see free will? So, what is the, do we still have free will within this surrendering state?
I have questioned myself this many times. Yeah, I think actually that is kind of a plan. And I think we come here with some lessons and some agreements. And the way we respond is our free will. Like, and if we learn to go with the flow, is much easier than try again to resist what is. So I think it's that presence and know how to just feel and know and believe. I think that again what's unfolding is the right for and you have been guided. I think that the like believe you have been guided, it makes the whole difference, because we try to separate ourselves from this higher for yeah, for many years I was training as a scientist. For probably my early adult life, I was pretty much in my mind, looking for the proof, looking for the evidence, and then I kind of shot a little bit my intuition, and then was through like life brought me enough tribulations and challenges, and so it was a little bit like awakening through the pain. But also it's beautiful at the same time, like yeah, it's just accepting that your past and make peace is part of it. And see, I think the challenge is also the biggest the gift you get and the strength. And I became much more resilient, and I was able to do things I never thought I could. So I think the more you contract is also the biggest expansion you have and the biggest growth. So I think some souls are brave and they come with like a big expectation with this life to learn a lot. And so, yeah, I think all well orchestrated. I think there is a orchestration.
I believe that too. So there's the universal intelligence. I actually don't believe that we are separate from that sacredness, divine energy, because we are, it's one. There's no separation anyway. But I think it's the mind. There's something that we believe that we are separated. That's when you said about believe that you're guided. So instead of believing, would you say knowing? What would be the alternative kind of way of embracing that truth that we are being guided? But I don't want that to become another belief system that we are again in our minds. So how do we bring that to the body?
I think actually I am a quite knowing person. Like I think the way to embrace maybe is remember a bit when we were kids, you know, because this is our innate way to be. And then we get, as you said, we get programmed by society. And there are so many veils that cover. We already know is there. It's just like we have it to uncover again what has been covered and programmed. So yeah, I think yeah, if you come back and try to bring some memories, how spontaneous you were, like how happy.
What would be a good example of that, Alessandra? Like, let's say when we wake up in the morning, I usually do the same things. Well, I meditate before I get out of bed, and then I make the bed, of course. But there are a lot of thoughts coming in, and is that actually something that's, would you call it spontaneity, to just let the thoughts come and go and flow with them too? What is how would you describe that? What would be a morning, for example, being more into this unlearning state?
Yeah, I think setting an intention for the day and start with gratitude and notice what I have birds here, so they usually wake me up. And so I'm grateful for the birds that woke me up, sometimes a bit too early. And I'm grateful for the day ahead. And yeah, just set an intention to live. I do things very simply, and I'm not a person that follow routines as well. Each day is a bit different. Yeah, but I think it's just the gratitude is a big piece, and being aware of what's going on, and just I think just setting intention is so powerful as well. Your attention and your intention. Attention, what's going on, coming back to this plane, because I think when you sleep, you may go to other places. And then your intention for the day, gratitude. Sometimes I also send blessings for people around me, because blessing is also very powerful for myself and people I love. You can bless the world, you can send love, whatever works for you.
And this is something that you mentioned. I want to the text that you sent me to read. I think it was the HeartMath Institute. They talk a lot about that. The graphic was interested, coherence and incoherent, and then they have like gratitude and then frustration, right? The difference between one state to the other. Just if you can do that fast enough, then the nervous system kind of relaxes again. So I mean, I have to say, and that's science, isn't it? It's part of science that's so practical and true.
Yeah, they are amazing. I think they are ahead, like in this kind of studies about heart and brain coherence. Yeah, they are really ahead. They are doing lots of global studies, and also they are showing the interconnectiveness of, like, they kind of proved that we are one and we are connected. But that plot is really, I think, incredible, because for people who don't understand coherence, like if you have your heartbeats, and that's the way they measure how you change, like if you focus in different emotions through your heartbeat variability, that how they can measure. And then if you're feeling frustration, it's kind of like a wow, 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 a wave that's all wiggled. And then when you move it to gratitude, it's a very harmonic, like it's like a sine wave, very coherent. And what like it called my attention that the shift is immediate, like it takes less than a few seconds, really. So I think anytime we are struggling, like, and feel really have inside, maybe if we just remind ourselves, like, just if you just put your hand on your heart and feel that gratitude, like immediately you're gonna shift. So that's like a resource right there for you to when you need. Yeah.
Yes. So in a sense, it's true that has been said that we have everything that we need, right, Alessandra? Everything is here with us.
Yeah, I like it, simple things and things we can do using our body, our voice.
I love that too, simplicity. And sometimes I resonate with things that are a little bit complex, like sacred geometry. Are you familiar with sacred geometry?
Yeah, it's all the maths behind, and it has to do with the sound. Yeah, I appreciate complexity, but I think in terms of to manage stress, because if you stress it, you usually cannot think very clearly. So you're not gonna remember 20 pages of instructions. So that's why I like to teach simple emergency techniques, so that should bring you just to the parasympathetic state, and you balance yourself, and then you do the simple things when what you are in what we call the ventral vagal. That's is the open state when you're ready to fall in love, to connect, you balance. Yeah, you feel resourceful, you feel connected to people. That's that state you can reach when you calm. And I think is also, I think they are coming to the conclusion, the meditative state, like when they achieve the heart and brain coherence again. That means that your heart and your brain are synchronized. So your nervous system is really calm. And then people can reach this very mental clarity. And it's like a high gamma wave, like it's a super high frequency of the brain. And they become kind of super genius as well, because I think is that state you really can connect to yourself and to the whole and to the field, or to divine, whatever word you want to use. And when you connect to that point, everything is available to you. So that's where you can draw information.
I want to read something that I thought was beautiful at the way you expressed this. You wrote, I felt my body unite with the warm beach sands, and the sound of the waves touching the shore carried me into the ocean. In that brief moment, There was no separation between me and the scene around me. I felt alive, present, and joyful. So, this state of union, when we feel like we're connected to everything, um, is that something that we need constant practice? Do we need to do, all apply these techniques that we have, so many of them, beautiful ones? Or can we come to a state where we are stable, kind of stabilized in this knowing that everything is connected, is one, that we are not separate from anything?
When I was describing this passage, it was actually a memory I have when I was very young, maybe probably between 7 and 10 years old. And I also had a very strong connection with the ocean. I loved to go to the beach. And when I was thinking, because one of the techniques actually to practice to be in this ventral relaxed state is to remember what they call little glimmers. That's a little instance of the time that you feel good and you felt relaxed. And then I was thinking, and this memory came to my mind, and I have a few more, but this I still remember. And I probably was so open at that stage again because I was kid. And today it probably takes more time for me to get there. I need to listen to some meditations, or but sometimes I think when I go to the beach that I still love to go and walk, I may spontaneously tap in one of these moments. I'm not seeking them, but sometimes they show up, like they present themselves spontaneously. Sometimes I think you have to like prompt yourself with, you can prompt it with meditation, but I think the spontaneous ones are deeper because and takes you again that surprise that like, and it can be as simple as like I had this bird that made a nest right in front of my house and was like on a level I could see. And I seen like the bird there, and then one day there were all the little birds like with their head out, and it's just so much joy like to see, like to go out, you become a kid again, like. And everybody was like watching the birds grow, and then I watched the mom actually start to teach the little birds, like using my veranda table. And I could see she was talking with them, and in less than a week they flew away. Like it's just amazing. I think in nature is like a, how to say, a quick path, like it's a quick entry, it's a shortcut, that's the word, shortcut to tap into this, because then I think awe, like the beauty, and like when you are in nature and you are in awe, so you get distracted a bit of your busy mind, and you tap into these moments with much more ease, of course, than if you are in front of your computer or in a busy seat. That's how it works for me, because I was always connected to nature, but for some people, maybe a busy seat, maybe like an entry point, who knows?
What comes to me in two things when I think about nature. One that's it's constantly sustaining itself. It's almost like this joy is always there. Something's always um, rising, right? The earth is always giving birth to something. So it's highly creative. And that to me is joy in itself. When I see a plant, like I said, a little bird, that to me is the joy, the soul of the earth kind of expressing itself with the joy of the creative power it has. No one can end that. That can never end. I asked you the question about going back and forth on experiences that can remind us of the connectivity, interconnectedness of it all. So for me, it has been very simple too. It's like meeting anyone that I meet. There's this, my heart opens and then I feel present, joyful, peaceful. All these things come up. I don't know how you feel about that. Do you suggest that in a way that we make our own life meditative space?
I think it's the ideal. Like you may use the quiet meditation as a practice, but ideally you have to transfer this to your life. Otherwise, it's just like, you know, because everything, I use my life as a meditation as well, because honestly sometimes I don't have time to meditate. So, and I try to be present, and I have a life circumstance that actually force me to be present. So I think it's the ideal. It's a practice and we should like live our life aligned. I think as everything, the more you practice, the easier it gets to get the answers to be aligned, to take every moment as an opportunity to meditate. Like, and if I can spoil this is actually one of the techniques I was gonna teach. That's called, it's an old technique, like is the stop technique. So, and it's pretty simple. Like if you suppose you're gonna grab a glass of water, you just pause few seconds and then you drink, but you really tasting. And if you do this like 5 minutes a day, and it's you actually have it to do in day by day situations. So if you're meeting someone, suppose I wish we could shake hands, but then you when you give in your hand, you feeling the warmth of the other person, you feeling the temperature. So and then you may stop a few seconds before. So that is a training that's you can do, like you have it to do in using practical things, and it makes you much more present, and it's again is a practice.
Talk to me about sound
Yeah.
therapy. I mean, we love music, and that now, I mean, a lot of people don't know exactly why, but there is a science behind sound, right? So, talk to me about the science behind sound and the connection between sound, thoughts, and emotions.
There are lots of things can be told. So let's start with the emotions. I think the easiest way, I believe we are mostly energy, and energy is vibration. Everything has a frequency. Every emotion has a frequency. And again, bring it back to examples of your real life. When you're stressed, you sometimes you tend to yell is a way to release it, and is a sound that is expressing your anger. Babies cry because they want to release emotion as well. When you have pain, you kind of do like, like we have these innate ways, these innate sounds. When you are in joy, you say, you have that, you know, and each sound has a vibration. And again, you can do sound therapy using your voice. Like there are so many sounds, and you can be using the sounds, being guided, whatever you feel like. There is a play I do with people who sometimes come to my group sound baths, and I ask, "How are you?" But you don't answer in words, answer making a sound. And then you can say like, "Whoa," or like, ah, whatever it comes. So this is an exercise, and I felt like is also good for kids, because there was a kid, I actually asked him, how are you? And he couldn't do immediately. He was trying to think to think what because he's so used to express with words. So, well, I think it's a good language to teach kids as well, like to express with songs, and like make loud sounds. And I'm also very kinesthetic, like with the somatic, like you can do movements and sound, and you can let be guided by your own body and your own intuition. But the way I'm doing sound therapy, I actually use a lot of instruments, because the instruments like gongs, balls, and crystal balls, Tibetan balls that are made of copper, forks, tuning forks. I use pipes. So the importance of the sound is to have a stable vibration and coherent. And the way it works is through resonance. Like if you have a frequency that match my frequency, so we resonate together, and that frequency is amplified. So it's kind of like more intense, and it's easier to understand. Again, if we come back to a real example, if you are in a fearful situation, you have someone fear with you, you're gonna fear stronger. But on the other hand, if you send love and you open your heart and you have like someone falling in love with you, that love is gonna be more intense. And with physics, if you have the same frequency, the field that's created by two or more people resonate together is much bigger than what you could create by yourself. So that's why they are doing intention experiments, that they are joining like thousands, millions of people around the world and send like an intention with the open heart, and they can see changes in the earth magnetic field, and they can measure, like the intention is to reduce violence. They actually measure the violence was reduced in that specific location. So I think the most important like lesson is whatever you resonated is gonna amplify. So as much as you can, try to resonate love and gratitude and joy, because I think for a long time we were conditioning to live in fear, and it's not our fault because there are lots of fearful programs. But I think again is a practice and awareness. We have to keep remind us to come back, because also we understand that whatever we resonate is change, not only us but everybody around us. And now they are proving it actually can change the whole world long distance. So there is actually scientific proof now that this is true. And I think it's very important. And with the sound, when I play the instruments, it's the same. Whatever frequency you have inside is going to resonate. And the other process is called the entrainment. That's kind of a synchronization. You will start to synchronize to that rhythm. And then, like, if I started to speak very slowly, and I ask you, Valeria, now to think really fast. It's gonna be hard for you to think fast as I'm speaking slowly. Yeah, it's the same principle with sound. Like with the balls, they put you in this frequency, this brain frequency that's alpha, theta, delta, that are frequencies related to creativity, to calmness, sleep. So as your brain entrains with this frequency, you immediately calm down. It's quite amazing to watch people. Like I had some sound baths that the sound session finished, and I asked, okay, now you can come back to your body. And then 1 minute passed, no one moved. And then I asked again, and I had to ask like 3 times, and people didn't want to move at all, like, because they go in such a deep, like, very deep, relaxing state. So, and it's magical. The sound of these instruments is just like it takes you in a really in a journey. And yeah, it's really magical. I cannot explain. Yeah. And it's easy because the other thing I noticed, you stop thinking. You stop thinking. So it's it's just like there's no spacing for thinking. Some people may, but at some stage they surrender. Like again, they surrender and just relax. Yeah, it's a very powerful technique. Like I don't think I had experienced such deep relaxation before. Like I didn't even know was possible because I was so habituated for a big part of my life to live like in a go 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 hyper arousal like and that was my normal like and and then until you have the contrast, so sometimes that's what it takes for you to become aware is a contrast. It's like an experience like that. Yeah, and is I think it's quite powerful. There are some studies now, like people are starting to research more, and I do think it's gonna be much more used in the future. And I saw a big increase even since I started to study 5 years ago. It's just became so popular now. Like, yeah, it has been growing like in popularity, and I can understand why because it's a simple and again it's a so easy way to relax.
That remind me. It reminds me of Shamanic Journey. Is there a relationship between sound therapy and shamanic journeys, or they are completely different?
So I'm not familiar with shamanic journeys, but I think that they use sound as well, especially the drum. I have a drum, yeah, but yeah, I'm not familiar with the shamanic journey. Sorry.
So I just was curious about that. 'Cause today, I don't think it was a shamanic song, but I played a song this morning, and part of the in the track, something sounded like a rattle of a snake, like a snake shaking, like a sound of a
Yeah,
snake shaking her. They call rattle, right? Like making the sound, and then really stopped me.
yeah.
My body had a lot of goosebumps. And do you actually explain to people that you work with when they have certain let's say vibrations and sensations in their body due to a sound? Is there a meaning there?
Most of the people, especially because I do group sounds that are more like a relaxing composition, and I try to work with harmonic combinations of sound. And most of the people actually relax. There is just like some people, very few people. I have a rain stick. Some people react to the water because I think when this happens is because they have some trauma, like they have some memory that water. Then I usually suggest to come to an individual session. The technique I use, we map the energy field, so we look into if you're energy centers that like called chakras as well are aligned. And then we have layers of, we have a biofield, that's a field of energy around us. So we check if these layers are aligned because they are connected to the main energy centers or chakras. And it's a very comprehensive method. So we go through and check many different things, traumas, emotions, like because sometimes people have trapped emotions. Is so with the individual session, I can go much more in deep and like is specifically to each person. And also every time you come is gonna be different because your field are always changing.
So you also work with somatic trauma healing. We're just talking exactly about that. And I read something interesting that you talked about trauma in the sense of trauma affects the brain, the mind, and the body. So, what is the difference between the brain and the mind to you?
Good. I think the brain is more the physical structure. The mind is more like thoughts and like what encompass that. But traumatic experience, they are usually imprinted in the body. That's our subconscious mind. And I like a definition. Who was one of the pioneers in this field that I studied with, apart from many other amazing teachers, was Peter Levine. And he defines the trauma like anything that's too much, too quick, and with not enough support. Because sometimes the same situation may be traumatic for one person and not be to the other. Suppose like you have a family with two siblings and parents are moving overseas. For one of them is very traumatic because they feel they are gonna lose their friends, they'll be disconnected. For the other one can be very exciting because it's new experience. So doesn't need to be a big thing. Sometimes it's not. There are, of course, some things that obviously traumatic, like abuse or sometimes loss of a loved one, disease, accidents, but doesn't need to be that intense. It's just something that overwhelmed your nervous system at that moment. And then when we usually have a window of tolerance of our nervous system, and then suppose like someone cut you in the traffic, so you're gonna be get a bit stressed, you're gonna reach the top window, and then okay, I'm fine now, I come back to my calm state. So we are wired to engage and disengage. We react when there is a danger, but then we settle back. It's like the ducks do. They shake the wings, shake, and then it's gone. So, but the trauma, when the trauma happens, you go beyond your limit of tolerance, and you kind of get stuck there, you know, and you didn't have the chance to go all the way through a normal response. That's the arousal, okay, and back to balance. So, and sometimes can get stuck for many years, like so people sometimes like have a childhood trauma and the body is still remembers. That's why people have these reactions that can be to sound, can be to a smell, can be to anything that the body, because our body is pick up information, and each person is so unique. Like you have a set of experience that are completely different from my set of experience. So if your body can relate to any of these clues and it can trigger that memory back. So with somatic healing, is kind of let the body talk. So we work, of course, if something very traumatized, it's very hard for some people to be in their body. Like if they were severely, they can have like postures, like, so the way we work is very gentle and it's to titration. Like we go very slowly and try to sometimes recreate it and let the body tell what it needs to go back. And an important thing is resourcing. Like I'll give example of a movie that I watch many times because I almost know by heart. You know, Nemo. Marley was living happily with a house with an open view with his wife. Then, in a split second, a fish came and killed his wife, all his eggs, and there is just one left. So Marlin didn't have any resource around. He was all there by himself. So he internalized that trauma. And then what he did, what we usually do, like he was overprotecting, micromanage each step of Nemo because he couldn't let anything happen. And he was stressed and like tried to control everything. And of course, at some stage, Nemo gets defiant and, you know, he swam to the open ocean. And then again, the unexpected happened. So what happens with Marlon then? So the pain of being feared was much greater than the pain of seeing his kid go forever. So he immediately find the courage to go and chase Nemo. And then he experienced the most like amazing thing. He was almost eating and killed it, and he managed to do. But there is a little trick there. He wasn't alone. He got a very important resource that was Dory, because Dory was like his higher self. She had no memory, so she had no conditioning. So she would go with the flow, you know. She was supporting him, and that's what we need when when we are traumatized. We need to bring the support, and the support can be different for each person. It can be a friend, it can be a hug, it can be yourself. So, and there are so many different techniques and movements and breath techniques with sound we can do to support you. And you're probably gonna find your own support. But then, as he took that big journey, Marley, what happened at the end? He faced it. So the actually journey was stretching like his window of tolerance. So now instead of this window, at the end of the movie, he was that tolerant. He could take much more on because the whole journey was bringing resilience, and he had the support. If you see every single part of the way, they had this support. The whale ended up helping him, the pelican ended up helping him. So it was all there to support his journey. If we trust, that's gonna be there. And then again, the movie is almost finished, and Nemo is in trouble again, almost die. And now Marley said, "Okay, go on, my son. Do what you can do. Like I'm with you. I'm supporting you." So now he completely changed. And then when they come back to the reef, he is in a completely expansive state, like he is so happy. And his son is going to take the classes again. And I hope everybody watched the movie to know Nemo. And then when he's going, he say, go, Nemo, and enjoy your journey, enjoy your class. So I think is a good analogy for our own life. So as we live and we resource ourselves and we get the right help, and then our window of tolerance increases. Of course, in a session, if you come to this support, so we have different techniques, how to help you breathe, how to resource you, how to support you, and even how to talk with the different parts and see what they need. And that's, I think, is it's really talking to your body, because we try to support a lot of our mind and be mindful, but somatic is like what your body needs, because we are mind, body, and soul. So that's when we listen to what our body needs, and that's one piece. That's I don't think anything is more important than other. We just have it to acknowledge and integrate all the parts to become whole, and really again see what we need at each instant of time.
Yeah, that also what came to me was the hero's journey. You're familiar with that too, right, Alessandra? The hero's journey. It's very
Exactly. Yeah.
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 Um, yes, and that what comes to mind is this dance right between all the parts of us, and then it takes courage, doesn't it, to kind of keep embracing, as you said, at each moment. What does my body need? What does my mind need? What does my spirit want? And kind of be guided by them and let the flow of life just to take over. I do have a question for you. We're almost at the end. And this question came to mind because it's my own curiosity about truth. How do you see this idea of truth? I know we all have our own truth, but how do you define what is real and what is truth?
I think it's just a no. It can. I think your truth may change with time, uh, or maybe your conditioned truth, but your real truth, like, will be something that you just know, like, is again is a alignment between your heart. I think is something bigger than you. Is something like that you can just connect and know. I don't know how to describe. You just know, when it's right, what you have to do, what's aligned and what's not aligned. It's like, that's how it comes to me. It's just a knowing. It's just a knowing. There's no much thinking. It's like you just know it.
I guess I always try to go, like what's the mountain kind of view of reality? What is really true? And then those two sides. One, it might be the absolute truth that the only thing we know is that we are here, and we don't even know what here is. I don't know what's really real and what's happening. The only thing I can really say is that I exist. And then the relative truth I mentioned, and then everything else, cause and effect, the things that if we eat something that is spicy, of course, we will be, the mouth will feel, the sensation will be there. So there's this interesting dance between experience and something that's not an experience. So anyway, I had to mention that. Speaking of sensations, I love the way you talk about sound therapy and how the importance of that, like integrating all parts of us as an experience. And maybe that's what we're all looking for, aren't we? To experience love, joy, peace here. That's the whole goal in the end. Do you want to add something, Alice?
I think it's what we take, like, really from everything we create here. I think when we are about to leave, is all the connection, and that's like good moments. Like, that's what we take. I hope that's the resonance we leave here, so we can create more out of love.
Three words that you used. I saw that the article that you sent to me. We're almost at the end. Calm, connect, and compassion. So being calm, being connected, feeling connected, and being compassionate. And then we are to do something at the end of the interview. I think you will show us a technique, the humming technique, the heart focused breathing, or the breathe pause technique. You choose.
Okay, I think the hum is a good one because there are a lot of research that shows humming is really good. It increases the nitric oxide tenfold in your body. I don't know any medication that can do that. And the nitric oxide is pretty good for the circulation, for the immune system. It increases oxygen in your cells. It increases all the endorphins and feel good hormones, release stress. So it's pretty much relax your vagus nerve. So and it just 5 minutes a day and it's super simple. There are variations, but you can start just like by take a few breaths through your belly and then you relax your lips and your jaw and the sound you can play up a bit later, but the easier one is just and you're gonna do for 5 or 10 seconds and then you breathe. So let's do. Yeah.
Wow. You must want to stay there.
How you feel?
Yes. Yeah, it feels amazing. I have to do that more often. I will. Thank you, Alessandra. Gosh, it's wonderful to be
We should
reminded,
have
right?
done actually at the beginning.
Yeah, there'll be more. There'll be a more relaxed, yeah, like podcast interview. Maybe I should do that. And I love hummingbirds. That's interesting.
Yeah, you can play a little bit with the pitch until you find your tone.
So, can we actually sing to that, Alessandra? Can we create a melody?
I think provided you feel the vibration. There are other techniques. You can imagine a 8 figure from your head to your heart to your root chakra, and you can keep like the flow. Yeah, you can do other variations, but I think the simple one, 5-10 minutes a day, is already make a huge difference to your life.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I'll definitely do that myself, and I suggest that everyone try it on. That's the whole all it takes, right? To try.
www.wavesforthriving.co.au. I offer sound therapy and somatic healing. Reiki is better done in person. Like And also started to offer Psych-K. That's a powerful tool to reprogram your subconscious mind. We didn't have time to talk about. The way I usually work, I start with the sound and I get the big map, and then I introduce other techniques as needed, and each person is different.
Right,
Yeah.
right. That sounds wonderful. So you can actually you provide sessions online, right? But not Reiki. Reiki is the only one that you do in person. Everything else can be online too.
Yeah, most of my sessions at the moment are in person, but they can be done online, and that's something I'm gonna build up soon in the future. I have done some sessions of sound online, and they work as well. I have like a room, a special room with a better sound quality.
Yeah, that sounds wonderful. Thank you so much again for your beautiful presence in this reality, for the intention that you have behind your work, and you're beautiful. Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you.
We'll talk
Bye.
soon. Bye for now, Alessandra.